Hi, I'm Stargate Pioneer.
And I'm Steven Jondrew, and we're from Better Podcasting, a proud member of the GonnaGeek network.
Just like the show you're listening to now.
The opinions expressed are those of the individual host.
Check out all the other podcasts at GonnaGeekNetwork.com.
And get ready, because geekiness begins in 3,
2,
1.
You have been granted clearance by Director Phil Coulson. Stand by for S.H.I.E.L.D. debriefing. All information to be discussed here is classified and may only be discussed among agents granted clearance by the S.H.I.E.L.D. Director.
Now it's time for your scheduled debriefing. I'm Agent Stargate Pioneer.
I'm Agent Lauren.
And I'm Michelle Ealey.
Welcome to Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D., a Marvel Comic Universe fan show. This is show number 117, discussing Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 3, Episode 17, The Team, and Jessica Jones Season 1, Episode 9, a.k.a. Sin Bin. This show is recorded on Wednesday, April 20th, 2016. Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. is a fan-based show on the ABC television show Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Marvel's Agent Carter, Marvel's Daredevil, Jessica Jones, and Luke Cage on Netflix, and the general Marvel comic universe.
Because of splitting open heads.
Ew.
Gross. If you'd like to talk to us about splitting open heads and how honestly very accurate that was, you can contact us at our website, legendsofshield.com. You can get a hold of us at our voicemail, 844-THE-BUS-1. That's 844-843-2871. You can find us at our Facebook, Twitter, and Tumblr, all at Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. You can find us on our YouTube channel, which is at youtube.com/GonnaGeek. And you can find us at our larger network website, GonnaGeek.com.
This time on Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D., we're going to be introducing a new podcast to the network. We're going to be talking about how you can get some free comics. We're going to be talking about how you can get a free Star Wars collector core crate, or whatever they call it. We're going to be talking about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Jessica Jones, the weekly Marvel news, your feedback, and as always, highlights from the live chat room on Blab. So first of all, Michelle, welcome back to Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. Glad to be back.
Yes,
Glad to have you back.
For the listener to know that you were on the show a couple of weeks ago, you've been a GonnaGeek guest before on the network for ATGN, and you have written on the website, right?
Correct, I have.
Anything special that you want to bring up in terms of your expertise or interests?
Well, next weekend I'll be at the Indiana Comic Con. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, and that is during Free Comic Book Day.
Nice.
Yeah, so see if she can get some free comics there, right?
Yeah, I'm hoping to see the Rachel Taylor panel who's on Jessica Jones. So that's something I'm hoping to go do.
That'll be good. You'll have to report back on that. Use your phone to record the panel for us, would you? It'd be great.
I'll try.
Okay. So one thing that we've been remiss for a while, and this announcement kind of has slow rolled out. It was a soft rollout announcement, a soft opening in Ocean's 11 terms or Ocean 13 terms or whatever. But we actually have a new podcast on the network, don't we, Lauren?
Yes, we do. And I am kind of a part of it, and I'm very, very happy with it. It's Strange and Unusual.
Productions is
Strange and Unusual Productions, but it specializes in strange and unusual kind of audio plays. If you're a fan of Welcome to Night Vale, that sort of thing, it's along the same lines, except this one is, if you're a fan of Buffy, it's the same sort of, hunter and vampire, except they absolutely hate each other. And, I'm one of the voice actors on it. And it's a lot of fun, and we have a whole lot of fun working on it. And in fact, we just recorded 3 episodes for season 2 this past weekend.
Season 2 of the audio drama.
The audio drama, the flagship audio drama, Friend of the Family.
Right.
There's also Dark Files, which is just some little one-off stories, Letters to Asmodeus being the vampire. And we're looking to kind of just introduce some more stuff into it too and see how it goes.
Yeah, so really looking forward to that. Some of the episodes of season 2 have started to drop, and you can find that at GonnaGeek.com. I mentioned before that Free Comic Book Day is coming up. We've talked about it before. I just want to keep it in your mind. So Saturday, May 7th is Free Comic Book Day. Make sure you make it to your local comic book store to find all sorts of goodies, all sorts of fun stuff, reduced fees on comics, that sort of stuff. Right, Haley? Haley's not here. Yeah, that's right.
Yes.
Haley is actually traveling this weekend, and that is why Michelle is with us. But it wouldn't matter because she's not near a comic book store, and she relies on free comics digitally, which do come out that day. So if you're in the situation where you cannot get to a store, make sure you get your free digital comics that day. But Lauren, please tell everybody shortly in a short little box what they could expect for a Free Comic Book Day.
Okay, so if you go to freecomicbookday.com, they have a list of all of the comics that you can expect to find. What I recommend is make a list of maybe your top 5. Maybe go to your comic store and find out how many they're going to let each customer have. Make a list of your top that many. And go in, get your comics, have fun. If you're getting them online, websites like Comixology should have a bunch available that day or shortly after. And yeah, it's a good opportunity to kind of test new titles or get kids into it. You know, first taste is free.
Yep. Yeah, and there's all sorts of great stuff that goes on. Some kids don't learn with normal stories, normal literature, and this is a great thing. I have got a friend that I did another podcast with, Voices of Defiance, and he really did not get into reading until he got the right genre to read, and Hero and the Crown was the paperback that he was given that he read back in the day to actually get him into reading. But what really sparked his interest in art.
Some people are visual learners. So, I mean, this might be the kind of thing that just unlocks yours or someone else's interest or just whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, try it out. It's fun.
Right. And don't be afraid when you're in the store to ask questions. The staff there is very knowledgeable. They know what you might be looking for. If you tell them a general, like I've got little kids, I need G-rated stuff, they'll point you right to the kids rack and it'll be great. So once again, that is Saturday, May 7th, 2016. Now, we also have a giveaway ongoing right now, don't we, Lauren?
Yes, we do. What we have is a Star Wars Smuggler's Bounty box.
Yes, it is the Cantina box. And I'm about to mute my mic so I can open it up without the noise going on. So I need some narration, ladies. Are you ready to narrate this unboxing?
Ready.
All right, here we go.
So what you need to do to win this awesome box is let us know whether you are Team Cap, Team Iron Man, or Team Other, and how why you're on this team. So, yeah.
Yeah. What team are you? So, okay, let's. This is kind of a complicated one.
And I recuse myself from this.
Yeah, right. So what we'll be doing is we're going to be giving this away on Star Wars Day, May the 4th, 2016. Yes. And we will actually be live on streaming that day. And because we're ramping up to the next Star Wars, we had the Star Wars Rogue One trailer and all sorts of Star Wars goodness, like the movie actually came out on Blu-ray and DVD, so we can watch it over and over again. We thought it would be a good idea to give this out, but we're also ramping up for Civil War, Captain America Civil War. So what we want is for you to tell us, since this is a Marvel podcast after all, which side that you're on for Civil War. So are you Team Cap? Are you Team Iron Man?
Are you Team Bucky like me?
Yeah, that's right. And then why? And just let us know that, and you are entered in. So far we have one entry, and we're looking forward to many more by the time this is over with. So I'm going to go ahead and unbox this now, and we're going to get some narration from the ladies.
All right. So what we have here is a very nice Smuggler's Bounty box. It has the Star Wars logo, and there are some patches. There's a patch and a pin, much like you would find in the the Marvel boxes. And SP has whacked the microphone and is jiggling. That is a shirt.
Is that a shirt?
Oh, there's a shirt. It says wanted.
Yes, it says wanted,
shirt.
criminal, wanted, dead or alive, issued by the Galactic Empire. So it's really a shirt from the Cantina on Tatooine. So it's where
this is the Cantina box. So, and let's see, what else do we have? Oh, there's a Ben Kenobi, old Obi-Wan Pop Funko figure, looking dapper and old. We have a little Chewbacca Pop Funko. What is that? A pencil? Pen or pencil. It is a writing utensil. And oh my God, a red Snaggletooth.
That's cute.
Pop Funko figure. One of those is rare, and I can't remember which one it is. It's the red one. The red one's the rare one. Ooh, spiffy.
Wow.
So
nice.
that can be yours. I'm going to pack it all back up just like it's normal, and you will get it shipped to you in the same box that it came in. You will not have SP rubbed all over it like the ladies were saying last time. So that is what we do. And just as proof.
Okay, well, the blue Snaggletooth is the variant. The red one is the.
Okay.
Yeah. But the red Snaggletooth is still pretty sweet.
It is. So just as proof that we do give these away, we got a tweet from @BornToEatBacon, and he gave a picture of Agent Carter next to Deadpool, what he received the Deadpool crate, and he said, "Oh yeah!" So the two are together, and it was very great. So thank you very much for sending that @BornToEatBacon. It'll be in the show notes. Have fun looking for that, or just go to @BornToEatBacon's Twitter feed, and you can see that as well.
Yeah, you might remember that he actually won that with his script format Deadpool and Agent Carter date.
That's right. All right. Well, I'm excited to talk about the episode last night. Are you excited, Michelle? Are you excited, Lauren?
Oh,
yes,
man.
very.
All
so
right.
many feelings.
We're going to get to it. Here we go. What an episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. last night. That was pretty amazing. And it was directed by Elodine Keene, and she did one episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. But get this, 2 episodes of Astronaut Wives Club, 7 episodes of Glee, 2 episodes of Heart of Dixie, 3 Necessary Roughness, 2 The Wire, 5 of The New Normal, a Dollhouse episode, 2 Felicity episodes, a Charmed episode, and 18 episodes of LA Law. So she's experienced. She's been on some great shows and many more, by the way. And she's been around for a while because LA Law is like 1980s. So there you go. And it was written by DJ Doyle, who has done a lot of stuff. He's an co-executive producer on the show, but he has written or has had a hand in writing 10 Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. episodes. So very senior team on this one, which was good, wasn't it, Lauren?
It really was. This was a really good, really tense episode. And especially just the second half of the episode, I was on the edge of my seat the whole way through. What about you, Michelle?
Right from the very beginning, I just loved that beginning where they're just like, we don't have a plan, but let's go anyway, all the way through to the end. It was really tight and quick and a highlight of the season.
It was great. And I wanted to talk about like which episodes that I thought were the best this season, whatever. But honestly, this one is just forefront in my mind, and I need like a week to let it set in and talk about it. Maybe, I don't know if there's a week off between now and the end of the season, but if there is, we definitely have to talk about the best episodes of the season. 4,722 comes to mind as being a really good one, but we've traveled a long way since the beginning of the season and that whole Fitzsimmons deal with Will on Maveth, the planet Maveth. So it starts out in true SP fashion. Is there some sort of secret afterburner on this thing? Make it go faster. Make it go faster. So yeah, that was something that SP would say. Come on, let's go faster. Let's burn it.
Very Jeff Goldblum moment there.
It is. So
And,
basically,
yeah, I love that when she's, getting the secret warriors together, she ruins Joey's date. Yeah.
no, you ask him to come up to your place
Poor
and then you just
Joey.
leave. Yeah.
It's cold.
Joey's
that's
having a
cold.
hard time
Cold.
integrating into this whole thing, and he's doing his best.
Well, when you look at it, really kind of they all are. I mean, for all that they have these awesome powers, the only one who's really kind of good at it is Skye, because she's the one who's been on the team for the longest. You have Lincoln, who's still kind of dealing with the ethical stuff from being a doctor with a bad temper and trying to figure out where he fits into this and still being kind of skittish, to Joey and Yo-Yo, who they're just normal people.
Yeah, they were just normal people. They became Inhumans through the Terrigenesis that just has been unleashed on the planet because of events that unfolded last season, and they're just coping the best they can. There's more out there like them. We just haven't found them yet, and they can go either way. And as we saw in this episode, and Michelle alluded to it in the grotesque brain, this show has a penchant for opening up brains, doesn't it?
Oh man. So when that happened, so the brain thing. Okay, so Joey stabs a guy, just straight up stabs him, which I thought was cool, the way he used his like metal power to make this pipe, turn it into a shank. And so this autopsy on this guy that they're doing, I am just finishing up a book done by a medical examiner. And she's describing the first time that she ever did an autopsy and how you have to remove the brain and stuff like that. And so I'm watching it and I'm like, oh yeah, that's pretty accurate. The only thing is that they made the cut too symmetrical. They have to kind of make it a little bit asymmetrical, because otherwise when you sew it back on for the funeral, it'll just kind of like slip.
Right.
And that's gross talk with Lauren for the night.
Right. And two guys talking in the chat said super raw for a primetime program. It is. And we've seen it before with Coulson. And I think there was one other scene that we saw that was very similar. It is raw for a primetime program. Now, at least it's not in the 8 o'clock slot. It's in the 9 o'clock Eastern time slot. So it's not in that 8. But it's more of a 10-ish thing. And we talked about it when they moved the time slot back. It originally was at 8 o'clock, if I remember right.
It was,
in the first
and
season.
then they moved it back an hour, and they've been able to kind of ramp things up ever since. Yeah, it's not like it's Hannibal levels, because there was some stuff on Hannibal, which I love, but that it made even me kind of like, ugh. And I used to work at an necropsy lab where it's basically autopsies, but for animals. But I mean, yeah, watching this, everyone's freaking out, and I'm like, oh, I guess that is kind of gross, isn't it?
Yeah, just a bit. And so we find out, Michelle, that I forget the guy's name, but the glasses guy, he's actually been controlled by Hive. There's this bio things that are in his brain that are controlling him, and they don't know if anybody on the Secret Warriors team has been exposed to it as well. We find out by the end that Daisy has, and Daisy, right, Michelle?
Yeah, that was something. There was a moment when they're in that white room, and she's that evidence that Coulson is bringing up with like the orb and everything. And then all of a sudden she's just like, oh yeah, Lincoln and the temper and everything. And my mind was going, this setup of Lincoln is happening really easy. And then my brain was like, is it Daisy? Could it be Daisy? And it's something to see Papa Coulson and Mama May just sort of like not see it. I think that's how it hurts even more, because they're like, okay, we got, and we think we know what's going on. And then no,
It was bad enough it was Lincoln, and you started feeling for Daisy. And then all of a sudden, it turns out that Daisy has framed Lincoln, and it's actually Daisy. And you're like, oh, we got double crossed. We were double. That was, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the writing team, Marvel, had double crossed the viewer in this one because I wasn't sure that it was Lincoln, but I kind of started buying into it. And then all of a sudden, he was put in that room and Daisy was on the outside, and you knew exactly what was happening.
They did such a good job of kind of making you think it was everybody in turn, though, because at first I was like, oh, it's Yo-Yo, because I mean, okay, I really loved her and Mac together. They were so cute. And then I'm like, oh, but it's going to hurt if, they get together and it's because she's working on an in because of Hive. And then you think it's Joey because you don't see him around for a while. And then you think it's Lincoln because, it seems really easy to frame him. But then when you go back and you look at it through the eyes of, knowing that it's Daisy, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, she's playing them perfectly.
She did. She knew what she was doing. And of course, she destroyed the hangar afterwards. And hopefully the Zephyr is gone and we can go back to the bus. We can make a new one and call it the bus, because that's what I really would like. That's twice this season in the past 2 episodes that they've kind of faked the Zephyr maybe be gone. And I like the Zephyr. I like the plane, by the way. It's a cool plane. I just like the name of the bus. So if they can get rid of the Zephyr and just do the bus, I think
bus too. I'm just saying.
Yeah, we're asking for it.
What if that's just how they start ending seasons now? They just destroy the plane, destroy the base, destroy whatever.
Oh, so do a Star Trek and blow up the Enterprise all the time? It's like
symbolic moving on.
That's a way to get SP not to get excited about the 50th anniversary of Star Trek, by the way. Show the Enterprise blowing up in the trailer. Like, oh, come on, guys. What's wrong with the ship? What did the ship do to you? Yeah.
Maybe they're just blowing up a little model of it in space. But, okay, so the effects of Daisy walking out and blowing everything up, and the slow motion, like completely silent except for the, music and everything, shots of everybody reacting, was amazing. Like Coulson pounding at the door, you could see him saying Daisy. That was great. And
he didn't say Sky, he did say Daisy.
No, I was going to say, did you notice that Hive Ward called her Sky?
Oh, no, I didn't. Nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, he did.
Well, I mean, those two are back together. Let's talk about that. Ward and Sky sitting in a tree. Or sitting in a hive, maybe? Huh? Wah, wah.
It's something that he's done it again because, the show's called The Team, and it was all about trust and what is the team. You had the team of Inhumans inside the team of S.H.I.E.L.D. And, like when it was revealed he was Hydra, he broke the trust of the team then and broke the team apart. And then now by infecting Sky, Daisy, he broke it up again.
Yeah, he really is.
I mean, 2 for 2.
Oh, Ward, it's terrible. I really love how he's playing this, though.
But we like him more now as a character than in season 1.
So much
season 1, I couldn't stand him.
Even just him, Ward, and him as Hive, it's just such an interesting watch. I mean, he's so weirdly cold, and then there's just flashes of stuff right now as Hive, like him talking about they're like, oh yeah, Malik, I keep wanting to call him Powers Booth because he's Powers Booth. Yeah. Malik's dead, let's take all his money and go on a shopping spree.
Yeah, okay, so you're Hive and you're Guerra, is that his name?
Guerra, yeah. Guerra.
Okay, and you're on a $960 million shopping spree. What do you buy? Michelle? Lauren?
Weapons and planes.
The puppies.
Oh, puppies. Because Hive and Guerra need puppies.
Yeah, who doesn't need puppies? No, but listen to me.
Little inhuman
you can
puppies.
Infect the puppies, and then you can use that to infiltrate.
Oh, but and puppies. Ward shot the dog, and that's what made him the Hydra agent he is today. So
he needs a puppy.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
What would you buy, SP?
Yeah, okay. I'd probably buy the bus. I like it. So yeah, get rid of the Zephyr. Let's buy a bus and let's one up. Although Hydra or Hive or whoever's in charge now, they
Hive
do
Ward.
still have they do still have that cool Hydra plane that we saw, that VTOL plane. So that's pretty cool. But I still like the bus better. Or the Zephyr. There's nothing wrong with the Zephyr plane. It's just called the wrong thing. It needs to be called the bus. So make a new one. Make the same thing.
Just paint the bus too on the
That's
side.
right. On the side of it. Just the bus too. Just like you're in Serenity or the Expanse, whatever, when they paint the name of the ship on the side. That's all. It doesn't have to be black paint. Orange, the orange marking paint that you do for utilities work and
Just
whatever.
Put it on with duct tape. I mean, come on.
Duct tape would work.
So would you put the numeral 2
I was
or are you looking
thinking
at
the
Roman
number
numerals?
2,
How would you
But
like that?
I liked Roman
like
numerals.
do it like graffiti style.
Especially if they're going to blow it up again. I'd like Roman numerals, because then you could do 3, 4, whatever, as long as it's called the bus, because that's pretty cool. And talking about other stuff, other tech stuff or whatever, we got the little ball of doom from the Inhuman wannabe last week, and it's headed on its way to Hive. What are they going to do with it?
I don't know. Is he gonna eat it or something?
He does.
I'm not willing to rule anything out at this point, because he is apparently a giant squid in a human form.
So does it amplify his
I don't know.
power
It
or
goes
something?
back to
What
the
does it
early
do?
Inhumans, remember? To the first family or the royal family or whatever, because when he was around Earth for the first time, I have no idea what it's going to be like. It's you guys.
Because he's designed to rule the Inhuman army. So that's why I was thinking it might
maybe
amplify
It's
it.
like Inhuman Cerebro.
just like in Supergirl, when you have the satellite getting the signal to the entire Earth, turning everybody into Supergirl zombies. Yeah, that's great. Supergirl season finale was this week. That was pretty good, cool too. But we're a Marvel show, not a DC show, so we're going to talk about that. And two guys talking. You are cracking me up in the chat, by the way. Massa and the use of resources to launch and manage my Earth takeover. And he corrects himself, NASA. I'm sure why they didn't just call whatever that thing was the mother bus. Yes, that's my thing. And so all that's cool as well. Now, what else do we need to cover, Lauren?
Powers Booth dying. Gideon Malik. He just gave up. He'd lost everything. His daughter's done. The force he'd been brought up to worship as a god is creepy. Everything that he's worked his whole life for is just. I mean, it's all gone. He had nothing at the end. And then Sky vibrated him to death.
Keep going.
Well, she crushed his head with vibrations.
And the prophecy came true.
That's right. And we're not done with prophecies yet, because we still have the space plane. All right. We talked about this 2 weeks ago. I was listening to it in the car today on my way to work. The three of us, actually, because Michelle was here 2 weeks ago. Who's in the plane? Lauren.
I still think it's Daisy.
Michelle.
Simmons. And it's from what she said at the end about how happy she is. We don't need to wait anymore. And then she said something about how I wish space would give us something more than things that we have to fight and stuff. So
I don't either.
I don't want it to be Simmons. But after this speech and after she was like, Fitz, we don't need to wait. It's been 10 years.
We were so sure that Fitz was going to die at the end of the season. What was it, 2 years ago or last year?
I think
can't remember.
At the end of season 1.
Season 1, and to flip it in 2 years to Simmons. Yeah, I agree. It's either her or Yo-Yo. Yeah.
Speaking of which, the science babies finally kissed, and it was happy.
And then the base went in the lockdown.
No. And I like how Fitz did with
Yes.
the chlorine gas
That was
and everything.
awesome.
That was good.
I totally want to try that, and I don't want to try
No,
it.
don't do that. Do not. Whatever you do, do not do that. It will end badly, and people get sent to the emergency room for doing stuff like that all the time. Do not do that. Only trained professionals should mess with chemicals, okay? I cannot emphasize that enough.
Did you guys see Fitz and Simmons blow back when Malik blew up?
Yes.
That was amazing. It's got to be their stunt doubles and wire work and everything like that, but it seemed so real. Well done. I was thinking I know we were talking about episodes earlier on, but I was thinking in terms of all the comic book shows on TV. Like, my favorite reality TV show is Deadliest Catch. I've made no secret to that. I'm learning a little bit more about that, by the way, and it's a lot more fake than I thought it was, but hey, I still like it. And my favorite sci-fi show on right now is The Expanse. Love The Expanse. I can't wait for season 2. It's going to be fun. And I also need to read the book. And my favorite comic book show, hands down, and I do podcasts on both DC and Marvel, is Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. This is the most well-done one. It's the most well-integrated one. It's the most well-written. And it's just, there is no second show out there. I've been saying it all along. A lot of people like Flash. And I'm not going to take anything away from Flash for those people that like it. It's a good show. Like it. A lot of people like Supergirl because they like the lighthearted sort of stuff like that. And Supergirl, I've watched it. It's a good show. But Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. for me is the best show out there.
Yeah, I just love the way that the characters have grown and developed, and the universe has managed to grow along with it since season 1. I mean, you go back and you look at those very first couple of episodes and compare it to where we are now, and it's so amazing how far we've come. And then plus the comic book nerd in me loves just the little, nods to the comics that we get.
I have to admit, I actually started watching it in season 1 and then I stopped. And then I heard some word of mouth and it was like, okay, I'll go back. And it's one of the best decisions I've made because it's become a very interesting look at team dynamics and power and what it means to be a team. And you're right, SP. It really is one of the best shows on there, comic book or not.
As well, and I want to point out 2 guys talking. He's chatting up a storm in the chat. Said, too true. Still like it here. This is making staples for television and future films, not just comic book television, to add on to your point, Michelle. And the pacing, the rich writing, the twisty turns that are adult and not plotting are magical. And yes, I agree with all that. This is just a great show. And I have to say, I watch all these shows, and this is the best for me. Now, some other people are like, "Oh, The Flash is the best." Well, good. I'm glad we have all those shows. But
yeah, we are spoiled for choice. It's amazing. This is a wonderful time to be a nerd and to have TV or Netflix or just any media available to watch. It's when you can literally say, "Oh, this isn't my favorite comic book TV show." It's an amazing time to be alive.
Right. So this is not the era of The Cape, No Ordinary Family, or Heroes season 2, 3, 4. This is the era of good TV and good comic book TV that just happens to be, or good TV that just happens to be good comic book TV. So anyway, Michelle, do you have any notes that we haven't gotten to yet?
I really like the line about how Coulson was like,
the whole
I've met
religion thing
God's
keeps on
lead.
popping up every episode for the last 5 episodes, maybe even before that. Lauren, do you remember when it started?
It started when they really brought in the whole Malik and Hive thing because of the whole original flavor Hydra was this sort of religious cult, like a Cthulhu-esque cult worshipping Hive. And having that, I think, is just fascinating to me as somebody who likes examining religion from an anthropological sense. And when you compare it to, you have this thing, you have these gods who were religious figures in their own time. It's, and you have Coulson there in the middle, the normal guy who has, fought beside Thor and was killed by Loki and had Grant Ward on his team I mean, it's an interesting thing. I mean, of course he's not oppressed anymore. He was killed by a god and came back.
Right. So lots of religious stuff going on in the show, and it's great that they're not letting it go. They're really bringing it back. They're pointing it home. And I'm not sure if it's going to be part of the Civil War movie or not, but we are definitely seeing some great stuff. And okay, I'm thinking in terms of big moments in the show. What do I remember? I don't remember the Nail Hydra thing is pretty cool. But Sky's transformation was amazing. Sky blowing up the base is amazing, almost similar. And then the other one I remember is when Coulson killed Ward. So kind of another Nail Hydra moment right there. But those are like the four big things that I remember from the series. I know there's been others, but those are what sticks in my mind. And Lauren, do you have any others you'd like to add to that?
I mean, top of my head right now, I mean, you ask and I'm like, I freeze. I can't.
I know. It's 3 seasons now, and we haven't done a rewatch of the whole thing through or whatever. So, and you and I and Haley didn't start podcasting on this together until like episode 17 or something like that. So, Michelle, do you have any other moments that you'd like to add?
I think it's been interesting watching how May is like, I'm in pain, but I can still fly this. And just and just kind of like, she's an interesting character because on the surface, it seems like she hasn't changed much, but it's almost like she just kind of has like deepened her emotions a little bit. And that's been interesting to watch.
It's an amazing show. This was an amazing episode, and I can't wait. I know we're running into Civil War really, really soon. Like, we're going to podcast on it on May 8th. So like next episode, and then Civil War happens. So we'll see how this leads into it. They said that there's going to be a connection, but it's going to be a little looser than it was during Winter Soldier. So we'll just see about that. So any last thoughts about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. this week, ladies?
We're in the end game of the season, and I'm excited and kind of a little terrified to see how it ends up.
I know. Haley will be back next week to join us, and she will have thoughts about her episode. She wanted to be here tonight, by the way, but she just couldn't. And so we're going to move on right now to some Jessica Jones. Woohoo! For those that are new to the show, what we do is we've been going over the Marvel Netflix content as well. Along the way, we have watched Jessica Jones the weekend that it came out. We've just been slowly rolling out our commentary on the episode by episode just because we've been hit with other things along the way. We will be going over to Daredevil this summer, but we're on season 1, episode 9 right now of Jessica Jones. Season 2 isn't out yet. And the episode was called Sin Bin. And it was directed by John Dahl, who, like the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. episode that we saw, has an amazing resume. Let's just go through a few of them. This was the single episode of Jessica Jones that he directed. 6 episodes of Justified, and boy, do I miss that show.
2 really fantastic episodes of Hannibal. 2 really, really great. Actually, the first 2 episodes of Outlander.
Right. 2 episodes of House of Cards, 2 episodes of The Americans, which is a really good series that I like. I am catching up on that. I'm about a season behind. 16 episodes of Dexter, 1 episode of Person of Interest, 4 episodes of Vampire Diaries, an Arrow episode, a Falling Skies episode, a couple of Caprica episodes, 4 True Blood episodes, a Breaking Bad episodes, many, many more. But the one that hit me the most at the beginning of his IMDb credits was an episode of Battlestar Galactica called The Oath.
That was a good episode. He also directed the movie Joyride.
Nice.
Which was a surprisingly entertaining movie from 2001 with Paul Walker.
Right. And it was written by a couple of people, Dana Barada, who had a couple of episodes of Jessica Jones in a writing credit, and also Jamie King, who had 3 episodes of Jessica Jones, an Warehouse 13 episode, and 9 episodes of Dawson's Creek. So very experienced crew on this. This was, I remember this as kind of being a setup episode, but I really enjoyed taking this one through. Lauren, what do you got for this episode?
Okay, so this episode is, again, focused on Kilgrave being the worst person ever. We have some side stuff, mostly with Simpson, who, last we saw him, he got blown up. And
It did.
Oh, Kilgrave's just so awful. Just when you think, I might be having some sympathy for him because apparently he had terrible parents who experimented on him. You meet his parents and it's not like you'd think. And Kilgrave's just the worst.
He is. So let's go back to the doctor really quick. I thought, is this the same doctor? Is this the same unit from the Hulk maybe? And no, the doctor is not mentioned in the Hulk at all, but it seems to me like it is kind of that arm of the army that they're taking pills or medicines or whatever to basically make super soldiers, because he has got like most bones broken in his body. He's bleeding out and everything. And like a few hours later, he's ready to roll. Yeah.
This in the show was when people were like, I just forgot the name of this character.
Simpson?
No, Nuke. He's Nuke from the comics. This was when everyone was like, oh, that's who he is. Because he's the character that takes a bunch of pills and has like a flag tattooed on his face. And naturally, he's from a Frank Miller creation. And yeah, he's not exactly stable in the comics either. And here we see him really starting to become, you saw the hints of it before with a lot of his behavior, but you could kind of attribute it at parts to, it's just post-Kilgrave PTSD. And increasingly, you just see him going off the rails, let's call it.
Yeah, this is the start of him really going off the rails. He was always a hothead before, but now he is going to become uncontrollable. We don't really see that by the end of the episode, but it is coming. And let's go back to Jessica Jones in their hermetically sealed room. She knocks Kilgrave out at the end of the last episode, which was great. And she puts him in the room, and we really see for the first time how everything's worked. They got the water underneath. She's got the electric buzzer thing that electrifies everybody in the room because they're conducted with the water. And you just see how this whole thing is going to take place. And of course, because it's Kilgrave, nothing's going to go as planned, and eventually something's going to go wrong. But Jessica does start out as being the one in power, doesn't she, Michelle?
Sorry.
Is she really? She does. It's that temptation of, she thinks by trapping him and doing what she wants that it's the way to go. But in reality, she is playing his game. And it was a great scene when she goes in there and she's trying to provoke Kilgrave, and he looks at her and he's like, it feels good, doesn't it, being in control? And he still, plays her, and she just doesn't know how to, really do that. Not until she figures out about the parents.
So Lauren, what are some of the main plot points that you want to bring forth for this episode?
Well, there's Kilgrave's parents. There's the kind of power play going on between Kilgrave and everyone around him. And we see the setup for something that comes up in the next episode when Jerry lets Kilgrave get a little bit too close to her personal life. And
well, she already really has. She's backed into a corner in this episode, and she sees this as a way out. So everything that happens next episode is definitely set in motion by Jerry in this episode.
Again, Jerry is like the second most worst person on this show.
There's that great scene where she's pacing and Kilgrave is matching it. because it really, shows that she's tempted. It's about, again, power and who has it. And
yeah, I mean, with the whole,
what this episode's really about.
Psychopath behind glass thing, it's really tempting to make a Hannibal Lecter reference, because again, in Hannibal and Silence of the Lambs and all that, Hannibal Lecter's the one with all the power, even though he's the one, right, in the cage. But here, I mean, first of all, Kilgrave is no Hannibal Lecter. He's not nearly that charming, smart, or I mean, he's cunning, but he's no Hannibal Lecter. And there is, I think, a bit more of a power play involved in that. Yeah, I do think Jessica had more of the power at the beginning of the episode. And I think that definitely once she brought his parents into the picture, Kilgrave's power was slipping some. And if it hadn't been for Jerry sabotaging it, I think that the end would have been a lot different.
Well, the end of this particular scene or episode would have been different, but I don't think the end would have been different from Kilgrave, because he would eventually, somebody would have come in, law enforcement, whatever. They wouldn't have known how to handle him, and he would have escaped again or whatever. You would just have the evidence of what he actually did out kind of in the public, law enforcement. So he'd be a fugitive, but he'd be a very effective fugitive. And in the end, I don't know if we'd be any different than where we are right now.
I think the main part of it is that at the end, when Kilgrave does get out and he holds her and he's like, "Let me go, Jessica." And she's able to look at him and say, and not let him go. And it's sort of like that whole, she can finally resist him, and she realizes that. And then now she realizes the power that she actually has, not trapping him in a box, but by actually that inner, whatever she has, she's just like,
yeah, whether it was built up through exposure or just whatever it was. And even, before, this is actually Kilgrave's one last desperate thing. Because before you have the whole, "Oh no, I am actually trying to win you over." I'm absolutely convinced, especially on the second watch through, that he's doing that because he's not sure if he can control her. And this is him testing it out as that one last desperate attempt to escape. And he still escapes, but that was him just showing his hand. And I'm really bad at metaphors here, but you get what I'm saying, right?
Right. So I think Jessica puts it all together at the end, and she realizes that he cannot control her, but she doesn't know for absolute sure. She just thinks in terms that it is that way. She doesn't know why either. And she has to have that explained in order to move forward and to really combat him with anything more than just her. But now she's got a weapon to use, that he can't control her, and she's able to resist him. And maybe that's it. She's just thinking that in terms of she can resist him, and not that she's completely immune. And it's not been completely explained yet. We have to go through the whole thing with the dad. The thing with the mom killing, go ahead and stab yourself to death, basically. That was just bad. And
yeah,
Kilgrave, he's just no conscience, just nothing at all.
Speaking of his parents, I had something that I wanted y'all's opinion on. Do you think that his childhood was really as bad as he was making it out to be? Or do you think that it's another example of Kilgrave twisting things?
Oh, absolutely. Michelle, what do you think? I think it is.
He said something interesting about how the truth is always somewhere in between. So you have to realize that there's this great joke from the last episode where Jessica says, you're not 10 anymore. And it's a reference to not only his age with his parents, but also the Doctor Who thing. But it does, you have that 10-year-old perspective of his parents. And then his parents were like, well, we tried to cure him and this and such. But he knows that he did wrong. He knows that he harmed his parents, and he didn't. Right. He knows.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, people's experience with abuse is valid, but it's one of those things where you go back and you look at your childhood memories. I used to have to get allergy shots every week. I would scream, I would cry, I would find places to hide. If you had asked me then, I would have said that my parents were torturing me. I had to go to the allergist and get like just series of shots just all up and down my back and arms. I was allergic to freaking everything. But, now with, an adult's perspective on it, I'm like, okay, it actually wasn't that bad. I just had nothing to compare it to. But then again, this wasn't spinal taps done to like a 7-year-old.
Right. That
and
was a bit
we also don't have any perspective of what their family life was outside of those videos and the treatment.
Right. So,
because his parents claimed that he was starting to control
he does
him
have
and tell
that
him
really
when to
horrible
eat
burn
and
scar.
stuff. So
his mom does.
right. But they were experimenting on him, and there were other children that were being experimented on, but you don't know if they were being experimented on to prevent them from dying as a last ditch effort, or if this was really something nefarious. You don't know. And you don't know by the time the series ends the answer to that either. But
yeah, this is definitely one of the biggest, I think, gray areas in the series is, was he, I don't think that, having all this stuff done to him as a kid made him a sociopath. I think that that kind of thing just kind of, it's okay. There's so much I could say about nurture versus nature and all this stuff. But I don't know where I'm going. I could talk about this for a while, so I won't.
So Jessica is the stark opposite on the show. And she actually demonstrates it in the same episode when she goes to the meeting because she's trying to ferret Betty out. And she, the guy's talking about the jacket or talking about Kilgrave because he gave away the jacket. And Jessica's like, dude, you lost a jacket. Shut up. Let's hear from Betty. So she just cuts to the chase and like, get over it and let's move on to what's really important. And so like the same thing with you, Lauren, like, shut up. You're getting your allergy shot. There's worse things that happen. Let's move on with life. So
you can kind of see it as Kilgrave dwelling on, the perceived wrongs, and Jessica is trying to ignore them and move past them, even when, circumstances are kind of making them impossible for her to do so, which isn't always the healthiest thing. No.
I mean, sure, his parents should not have left, but I had to go through bad stuff happened to me, but eventually you have to realize what right and wrong actually is and grow up and go, okay, my parents left me and I did these wrong things, but he as an adult should actually know right from wrong now. And that's what I mean, that he does know now what right from wrong is. He doesn't need Jessica. That's just part of his game. So it's one of those things that, yes, bad things happen to him, but
bad
now
things happen to people all the time,
and
most people don't do horrible things. And I think that's one of the things that the show is good at pointing out. Even if, things were just as bad at home as Kilgrave said, it does not excuse, any of what he does, which has been pointed out numerous times on the show.
Right. So we have the whole thing happening within the prison cell. We have the mom and the dad being sought out, and then Kilgrave being forced to relive his torture in his mind. And we have Jerry dealing with a very irate Wendy, wanting 90 to 100%, depending on where you are in the episode, of everything, just because she's hurt and she's fighting back. And and Simpson becoming the super soldier. That's basically the main points of the
slightly
episode,
less
right?
than super soldier, the
right
kind of okay soldier.
And that's another thing about an adult knowing better. That's another, common thread in this episode. He's told, you've had red, now like 2 whites and then blue. And what does he do? He immediately goes for the red. So again, this is an adult that should know better.
But
I hadn't even thought
also,
of that, but yeah, that makes perfect sense.
yeah, and he knows he needs to go after Kilgrave for many reasons, the latest of which is the neighbor and his team that got killed. So he's definitely planning on trying to make that happen. But we'll see how successful that is actually going to be. So do you two have anything else major with this episode to discuss?
Every time Jerry would talk to Kilgrave, I would just think of Futurama. Let's make a metaphorical deal with the devil. But by devil, I mean robot devil. And by metaphorical, I mean get your coat.
Anything else, Michelle? All right.
No.
This has been a mind-twisting, very well done series. Darker, but about the darkest stuff that Marvel has done. And as you ladies have told me over and over again, very well done series. So it's good. So with that, we're going to move on to some news. All right, this is part of the podcast, part of the show that we actually run down the main news articles that we have found throughout the week in the Marvel Universe. The first of one is something that Lauren is going to be dealing with tomorrow.
Yes, comicbook.com has a video clip of Clark Gregg performing Britney Spears' Toxic on Lip Sync Battle, which will be airing tomorrow on Spike TV. I mean, he's pulling off the costume really well. He's got the legs for it. And considering that his wife is Jennifer Grey of Dirty Dancing fame, I mean, he's had to get some good practice in. I will be live tweeting this. It's going to be Clark Gregg versus Haley Atwell. And it looks like it's going to be fun.
Yeah, get back to those battles that they were having last year.
To the death!
To the death before Haley cut off her Twitter account.
Yeah.
We still haven't heard officially about season 2 Agent Carter yet, have we?
We have not, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah, that's right.
Although I did hear that Supergirl just got renewed.
Oh,
I keep hearing.
No,
I keep hearing it is, and then I keep hearing it's not. Like,
nice.
Congratulations.
Well done,
really? So now we just need
that's
season
right.
3
and
of Agent
two guys
Carter.
talking in the chat that Carter is greenlit, but I don't remember seeing the official story on that. So
Yeah.
we will double check that. Okay, moving on to Netflix. We got some Iron Fist stuff to go through, right?
Yeah, we have a whole bunch of stories. Jessica Stroup from The Following and Tom Pelphrey from Banshee have joined the cast of Iron Fist as Joy and Ward Meacham, childhood acquaintances of Danny Rand's who now play an important role in Rand Enterprises. So, yeah, we'll see how that goes. They've been adding new people to the cast just kind of piecemeal. And in addition, there was a just while we're talking Iron Fist, I'll bring this up. There's pictures on justjared.com of the initial filming of Iron Fist, mostly featuring Finn Jones, Loras from Game of Thrones, who's going to be playing Danny Rand. And he looks like, I'm not sure if he looks more like a homeless guy or one of my friends from college, like the week before finals.
He looks kind of like Malcolm when he's on Jessica Jones when he's
Junkie out. Malcolm, a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
He really does kind of look like some of my friends the week before finals from college, though.
Right. But now we have some even bigger news about the next get together.
Ah, yes. We have showrunners for The Defenders. Doug Petrie and Marco Ramirez are going to be working on it. Doug Petrie was the showrunner of season 2 of Daredevil, and he also done Buffy. And Marco Ramirez also worked on Daredevil as well as Orange is the New Black. So, and Drew Goddard is going to be executive producer. So that's going to be great.
It will be. And then we have confirmation in the Defenders as well.
Yes, we do. Eka Darville, Malcolm, who we just mentioned as possibly inspiring Danny Rand's interesting look, is confirmed to be appearing in Defenders. He said, I will be in it. I'm not sure how much yet, but I will be in it. So yay, Malcolm, precious cinnamon roll.
So yeah, so far between Daredevil and Jessica Jones, there's been like a character swap, maybe 2 as the episodes go on, but not much tremendous crossovers. Defenders, of course, is going to be the big like Avengers style team up of the 4 different series as they go into it. So I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be a good one. Don't you think, Michelle? Right.
Yes. I'm looking forward to it.
So now we've got some news stories from the future. Phase 4.
The future SP?
Yes, the future. So we're talking Phase 4 Marvel Cinematic Universe and what's going on beyond Phase 3.
So Kevin Feige says that Phase 4 will be distinctly different. There will be a finality to moments of Phase 3, as well as new beginnings that will mark a very different, a distinctively different chapter in what will someday be a complete first saga made up of 3 phases. So, more space, magic. I don't know.
That's what I'm thinking. Space and magic.
Space
magic, space.
So we'll
space
see if
magic.
The interest still continues. I think with Guardians of the Galaxy, they clubbed on to something that was good there, but we'll see if it continues on after we talk about the Gauntlet. And also talking about Guardians of the Galaxy, we have some mentions by James Gunn of just who and who is not going to be in Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Yeah, we have confirmation of who is not going to be in Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Chris Pratt. He's not going to be in it.
No, it's Benicio del Toro as the Collector, and John C. Reilly as Corbin Day. So, yeah, they won't be in it. And apparently, there's just no room for them in the story. Well, in the case of the former, the Collector, the director made it clear he just didn't fit into the Volume 2. And the situation with the latter seems to center around availability. So John C. Reilly is very, very busy.
I'll bet. So we've got a couple of actors that are joining Spider-Man Homecoming.
Yes, we do. Okay, this one made me happy when I heard it because I liked this movie that he's in. Tony Revolori, who is one of the main characters, arguably the main character in Grand Budapest Hotel, is going to be joining the cast as an antagonist. Not a supervillain, just kind of, a high school jerk, I guess. He's like the bellhop guy in Grand Budapest Hotel.
Like Biff.
And Laura Harrier from One Life to Live is going to be joining as a character named no, that's Zendaya. She'll be in talks as, I guess, a friend or a love interest, or anyway, this is a significant role apparently.
It'll be interesting to see how that all pans out. We'll keep tabs on the Spider-Man as well as all the future Marvel projects. And flipping over to Fox for a second, we have some news about Deadpool.
Yes, Deadpool 2 is officially happening.
That's gonna be awesome.
Probably with cable. And it makes me happy.
And it might be the biggest R-rated movie ever. But we'll see.
Yeah, Deadpool is the biggest R-rated movie worldwide. I think in the US it's still number 2 because of The Passion of the Christ.
Yeah, it was 18 million off or something like that, and I don't know if it's overcome it.
But yeah, Deadpool's a pretty big deal.
Pretty big. All right. Michelle, do you have any new stories that we haven't covered? Well, awesome. We'll be moving on to some feedback then. All right. As always, we get a ton of feedback from everybody, and we really appreciate that. There's a lot on Twitter, people giving us news stories throughout the week. We really do appreciate that. Sometimes, as we're getting ready to do the episode of Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D, we just don't have time to look for all the news stories. So we really do thank you for hitting us with all of that. Christy had a comment after watching the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D episode this week. And I just pictured herself like wrapped up in a Snuggie and kind of like rocking back and forth. She said, I think I'll eat some ice cream and watch Captain to make myself feel better.
Me too. I mean, I didn't get to watch Cap to make myself feel better, but hey.
Right.
I know it feels.
I actually ate some shaved ice myself, so I can't have ice cream, but it was almond based ice cream, which I can't have, so it doesn't taste as good, but I had some. And then consultant Black Adam, our very own Black Adam on Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D Long Box Edition, he said during the episode, mind you, before he knew the end, he said, bit of a wild guess, but I think Daisy is the one who's infected. Guess what, Adam? You called it. So we're going to call you out there. And then a friend of the podcast, Jeannie, it goes by @AsetIsis. She runs Tyrion's Landing, which is a podcast about Game of Thrones on the GonnaGeek
Network. Coming back this weekend.
That's right. So she tweeted us what, Lauren?
This is the Civil War we've been waiting for. And she linked us to Ken Burns' Civil War on YouTube, which to people like me who are giant documentary nerds, it was hilarious. If Ken Burns did a Civil War documentary a few years ago, it's very well done. Yep. And this was a documentary about Marvel's Civil War done in the same style with the old-timey violin music and everything. The sepia wash over.
Right.
It's fantastic.
So, Lauren, you've been live tweeting. You're back in the saddle. You've been doing all the live tweeting for Jessica Jones on Monday nights. You did Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Tuesday nights last week. You did Marvel Week with Jimmy Kimmel Live and what else was going on all week long. So amazing stuff. Sometimes people tweet back. Actually, a lot of times people do because you're that good. In this particular case, you put out the shipping name, Yo-Yo Mac, and then Mistress Marvel said, I ship it. So there you go. And a friend of the podcast, Richard at Kodiak GWC, he tweeted us with looking forward to how they do the costume. He was talking about Iron Fist.
Yeah, I really hope they keep just like the plunging neckline of Iron Fist costume.
Right.
Maybe it'll be like opposite of like Arrow, because like Arrow right now, like there's no sleeves. Yes. Maybe it'll be the opposite.
Exactly,
it'll just be sleeves and a bare chest.
Bring back chest fabric. Because Chris on Starling Tribune for Arrow,
like the ultimate V-neck,
has created the hashtag bring back sleeves. So we're just going to go bring back chest fabric.
No, the picture that's linked for this, it goes like it goes all the way down to his belt. I mean, it's okay. You know, Molotov cocktease on Venture Brothers. It's like that,
yes,
but like on a dude, and I'd be okay with that.
Yeah, it's as impractical as
it's like Dr.
outfits
Roxo,
are
the rock and roll
superheroes.
clown
So
on Metalocalypse, except really buff.
Mm-hmm. So on last week's Starling Tribune, we ran clips from the Supergirl panel from C2E2, and one of the questions that a 12-year-old little girl asked was basically, do you think it's fair that female actors, superheroes, are super sexualized and male superheroes aren't? And it stunned both Kyler and Melissa Benoist, and they were like, that is a good question. You're so young to be thinking that, but that is so true. And then Kyler Lee just said, well, I mean, but there's Superman. I mean, dude wears his underwear outside. I think that's kind of weird. So they handle it.
Yeah, but he still gets to wear stuff like under it. I mean, if he was just running around in it's Namor runs around in like the man panties.
That's right.
Man, we need a Namor movie.
I think that would be coming eventually. Yep.
There we go.
So Chrissy Adidana Girl also tweeted us with a link to the teaser for the lip sync battle, basically saying, "Nice legs, Director Coulson."
Like I said, he's got the legs for that costume.
Right. At Born to Eat Bacon tweeted us and just realized that Lab Rat got both her hashtag shotgun axe, or as we call it, the max, and at Squidward, wishes granted in a mere couple of weeks.
That's true.
And then Christy Adidana Girl retweeted Pop Funko. I guess Quake is going to have a Pop Funko figure, but that brings into question, does she make it through the season or not? So I don't know about that.
One, she better, and two, I need it.
Right.
I need a Quake Pop Funko to sit next to my Coulson and May figures. And Agent Carter.
And before I forget, we did have some emails from Andy running down the Jessica Jones episodes. So what we'll do next week is we will catch up with all of that. So bear with me, please, Andy, on that. Just haven't had a chance to get them in the show notes. They will be in there next week. I thought all week that I'd have a chance to do that. I did not. And we love your rating systems. Can't wait to go over them. So that's it for the feedback section this week. And we're going to walk this one out. Join us next week as we discuss Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 3, Episode 18, The Singularity. And hopefully that Colonel Carter from Stargate SG-1 won't be around because she has a thing with singularities to blow them up. So hopefully she wouldn't be there. And I just did a Stargate kind of crossover there. You like how I did that? Like,
I see what you did there.
Yeah, I see what I did there. And Jessica Jones, Season 1, Episode, I believe it's 10, actually.
Episode
AKA
10.
1,000 Cuts. So if you want to get in touch with us, you can catch us at the GonnaGeek.com network. We also have a voicemail line, 844-THE-BUS-1, 844-843-2871. Don't forget, we have a Facebook account, a Twitter account. Go ahead and hit us up there for feedback and to stay tuned for events that as they come up, because Lauren has been the live tweeting fool the last few weeks. We do have a Tumblr account that can be found at legendsofshield.tumblr.com. Don't forget our YouTube channel, where you can see all of the videos from the GonnaGeek Network, including the live video recordings from Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. Don't forget the next episode on Geeks.live on the GonnaGeek.com network will be Starling Tribune, 9 p.m. on Thursday. And in this particular episode, we will be going over Batman versus Superman. Yes, I did say versus. I know it's Batman v Superman, but I'm going to say Batman versus Superman because that's how much I think about the movie. There you go. It gives you a little hint of what is ready for next week. And if you want to hear more about Batman versus Superman on the GonnaGeek Network, there's a Legends podcast out there, as well as the Audibly Exquisite guys covered it pretty well as well. But we will be covering it on the Arrow podcast because we don't have an episode this week. So might as well talk about something, right? In the meantime, thank you to all the listeners and Spreaker and Blab. We really appreciate you guys stopping by. We really appreciate the Blab comments. Sometimes we don't get a chance to read all of them or comment on them or mention them all, but they do impact the recording. We really appreciate you being here.
Thank you to everybody who gets a hold of us on Twitter, on Facebook. With Twitter, especially the people who show up whenever I'm live tweeting, because it makes me feel like I'm not shouting into a void or talking to myself. And yes, we appreciate hearing from you. We love you guys. We love you.
We do.
In a totally non-creepy way.
Or in a creepy way, if you're into that. Michelle, thank you very much for joining us for a second time this season. We really appreciate you stepping up and pulling the weight for Haley, who just couldn't be here.
Thank you for having me. As always, this has been a really good time.
All right. And don't forget, we are giving away the Star Wars Smuggler's Bounty crate on the Cantina. So we did the unboxing earlier. Just give us your take on which team you are for the Civil War Marvel universe. Now, I know we cross the streams between Star Wars and Marvel, but they're all by the same company. So is that really crossing the streams? I don't know. But go ahead, tell us, are you Team Cap? Are you Team Iron Man? Which team are you on? Why? And you will be entered in for the crate. So with that, until next time, I'm Agent Stargate Pioneer.
I'm Agent Lauren.
Bye. See
And
you
I'm
guys
Michelle
next
Ealey.
week.
Thank you for listening. If you want to leave us feedback, go to GonnaGeek.com and you'll find all of our contact information and other shows. You can also visit legendsofshield.com where you'll find our complete archive of podcasts. The music heard on this podcast is by Kevin MacLeod and can be found at incompetech.com. The opinions heard on this podcast are those of the individual host and do not represent Legends, Stream, or GonnaGeek. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is the property of the Disney Corporation. No infringement is intended.
As always, the seat is open if anybody wants to come in and join the Blab and talk about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Jessica Jones, or anything in the Marvel comic universe. Go ahead. This is the time that you can play with us. And Steven, I know you're out there. Two guys talking. All right, here we go.
Hello.
Can't hear you, Mike. Nope. Still can't hear you. And I don't know sign language, although I should.
I can only fingerspell. I can't. And I know the word for toilet.
That's always good to know.
That's why I made sure that I learned it.
Yeah, I'm waiting. I know you got that cool studio down there, so I know you'll make it work somehow.
It's like you should learn like where is the toilet, no matter like where you're going in a foreign country. That's like one phrase you should learn.
That's the French thing.
Vous êtes toilette. That's German.
Fart?
Cat farts. Cat farts. I know dog farts are bad. Cat farts have to be the worst.
They're pretty awful. One time I was like lying on the couch napping, and then that cat right there jumped up, turned around, and farted in my face.
In your face.
You're a jerk!
Pull my paw. Pull my paw.
Oh. They know.
They do.
They know.
Well, I know Mike's coming back. Michelle, let's see. What are you looking forward to in Civil War?
I want to see somebody die.
I think you're going to get your
I know
wish.
this is awful, but there's so many characters. It's like there hasn't been any real consequences, and it's like even if it's like War Machine or Bucky or something, I want consequences. I want phase. What is this? 2, 3, 17, whatever, to start coming to a close with some death. And I don't know what phase this is. I'm lost. I've lost count. But yeah, just to see some ramifications and permanent death. Not
that
not
was one of the
Coulson
things
death.
that Joss Whedon had a complete disjointed relationship with Marvel. It's like that character needs to stay dead. Don't bring him back. Of course, Josh hasn't been in the main comic book universe a lot. He's been on the peripheral with indies and stuff like that. But like in the main comic book characters come back to life all the time, and it just happens. So I do agree, though. There's got to be some permanence.
Yeah,
On Arrow, there's permanence.
Yeah, give it a couple of
We
seasons.
think.
Moira Queen, Robert Queen. There's been permanence there. Allegedly. Yeah,
True.
Cajun Sean in the chat thinks that
True.
Agent 13 will die. I think that's just spiteful towards me, Cajun Sean. That's just not cool.
We want to see him cry in the theater.
The Carrie Kim effect. Yeah. Those John Drew boys bring forth the Star Trek references left, right, and backwards.
Well, no, wait a minute. Isn't Papa Queen alive in Earth
That's true.
2?
In Earth 2.
Didn't they
We
make
haven't
him
seen
the
him
Arrow?
yet, but you're right. He's there. Yeah.
Ha! Ha!
Oh, here we go. Let's see if we can talk to Mike now. No, I cannot hear you.
I'm actually going to have to log out in a second.
Okay, yeah. That's fine. I'll stay for Mike one more time, but
Okay.
then I'll be going to.
Yeah, I got to get some work done before going to sleep tonight. But yes, I was very glad to talk to all of y'all.
Oh.
And I will talk to y'all later.
We'll see you next week.
Night. Bye.
Bye.
So now we have absolutely no Marvel knowledge on a podcast.
Oh, we have some. I have some.
There is no sound coming through whatsoever, so I'm not sure if you're configured into the right device. Is your mic turned on? You have to use this rig for podcasting on a regular basis, so I wish I could help you, but I can't even hear. It's just Blab. Yeah, Mike Phillips always blames Blab, so why don't we? It's just Blab. And you know what? I'm going to continue to not
It's just Blab.
pay for it. Here we go. Let's see if we get them.
Oh, yeah? They went on.
How about now?
Yes! I
There it
hear
is.
you.
Excellent. You guys caught my attention. I was driving home, walked out of my car, and I looked up, and holy cow, they're talking about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and we just finished our podcast on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And so I
Right.
wanted to come and literally geek out with you guys because, wow, I think what we've hit most this whole season of our podcast review is how extraordinary it is to have a day during the week where you go, why isn't it tomorrow already, and why haven't I already seen this program? Because it's extraordinary to have something valuable as opposed to more garbage, which is just so frustrating very often.
Well, I would say TV in general has gotten a lot better over the course of everything, and the stuff that isn't is weeded out so quickly now. I mean, series that are greenlit for half a season, 12 episodes or whatever, they're lucky to get 6 if they're just garbage. So
Yeah.
there tends to be
It has become the bane of professional podcasting because you always want to go and try and find the next thing that's going to allow you to have something that is as long and saturated as something that's associated with Marvel. And it just does not exist. It's all a complete dice throw, and it actually makes me shy away from new programs. And I really don't like that because I love great storytelling. The problem is you can't find the great storytelling that then gets life.
Right. So Defiance over on the Sci-Fi Network, I had a podcast on that, and that was actually a really good series with really good writing, with really good acting, and it was amazing, but it just didn't get any traction. So Sci-Fi gave it 3 seasons. We didn't think it was going to get a third based on just the ratings, and we thought it was amazing that it did get a third. I think it was just put in as a third season for a placeholder for some of the newer shows coming on, like The Expanse, like 12 Monkeys, which was unexpectedly good, like Killjoys and Dark Matter. And that's over on the Sci-Fi Network. They did have some flops. I will say Helix was a flop. I mean, it was by the same guy that brought Battlestar Galactica, but it just it did not resonate with me personally. Some other people might have liked it, but it wasn't cool. And they drew me in on the second season. I was done after the first season. They drew me in on the second season with time travel, basically, and I was like interested in that, but even that wore on, and I vowed that even if they did a third season, I wouldn't go back. So you do get that sort of thing. 12 Monkeys was just, I wasn't going to watch it. I wasn't going to watch The Expanse, and it's not my favorite show overall. So that's all good. But on network TV, I think we're reaching a point where you're getting saturation. You've already had Constantine canceled because it just didn't get ratings. You've had the Agent Carter really low ratings in season 2. You and I have discussed that before. And it's just at the point where how much is too much? Like Marvel itself, I'm glad to have a Marvel podcast. I'm glad the way we structure the Marvel podcast, because we can talk anything on our Marvel podcast. If we just had an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. podcast, which was originally what this was, then we'd run into trouble. But we've expanded it. We've got comic books. We've got Netflix. We've got the cinematic universe. And it's as a podcaster, we can talk about that and talk about it. But like, if you're a TV reactionary podcaster, it's a very turbulent time right now, because
there's a component to reviewing entertainment in general now that, and this is something that when I started podcasting now, it'll be 13 years in September. It's something I knew that we were going to have to change the paradigm on, which is the show is on, let's just pick a day, Monday. We record the podcast about it the next day, and then we let loose the podcast, then we get ready for the next week. And that still works today. It works as a model inside of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. There's a component that have built on, though, that in 18 months, when somebody comes around to, say, season 3 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. on Blu-ray, well, now they still have a companion podcast to go and listen. And that was a concept that I was pushing 13 years ago, not knowing anything about where Netflix was going to take us.
Yeah.
And Netflix has essentially liberated every single movie you can fathom. Asterisk, obviously, everything is not on Netflix. But that you can go back and right now, with some very rare exceptions, especially if you've got your special codes for Netflix, you can go back and listen to any movie inside of the Hulu experience. You can find a great many television series that, again, if you can have a good, solid companion podcast, total score, because it never gets old, especially if you dig in deep like the four of us. Your partner to the left is another great sample of digging in deep into programming to tell you why you should be watching it and why the programming matters. And the podcast, get that little glimmer of hope of the why component and how to educate people. Those are the ones that really do stand the test of time, regardless of whether or not they are an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. podcast. The stuff we've made over at Two Guys Talking, all of it across the board is somehow educational, and you won't ever lose on that, ever.
Yeah, you have to bring value. You can't just do a reactionary podcast. I think that's why,
right.
What was that network, like the TV Talk Network or whatever? I think that's why that folded, because, okay, it works for a day, but then who cares after that? Because you're not bringing the value. You're not bringing in any in-depth insight. Just, okay, this is what happened. Yeah. And
you guys had so much knowledge about writers is also something I find incredibly stellar. You did mention Tim Dahl, however, and while Tim Dahl has a very impressive resume, he also is not solely responsible, but for some of the worst episodes of Dexter. We often refer to them as the Fexter episodes because they were so effing bad.
Yeah.
There were some really bad episodes of Dexter, and unfortunately, Tim had a very thick hand in those, especially towards the end, toward the lumberjack end, and very, very frustrating, especially for someone like Tim Dahl, because he is a very robust writer who really does understand the characters, which is the whole key of what's happening inside of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. right now. We have I want to meet the writers, and I haven't gone to seek them out yet, but I want to meet the writers that have written the last 25 episodes, because they got game. They have total game. It makes me want to, my God, is my day job done? Because I got to get the hell out of here. I got to go review this stuff. And it's fun. It's fun to watch television.
Right. So the writer's room, basically, before they start the season, really is being controlled by the executive producers. So you have Jeff Loeb, of course, tilling the thing, but you have Marissa Tankeron and Jeb Wheaton also in control. And they've written some of the key episodes that they want to make sure are the cornerstones of the season. So they brought some great talent forth, and they brought some new talent outside of the Wheaton sphere as well, either through ABC or other connections in the industry or whatever. But I think it's being done by that writer's room experience where they all sit down before the season and says, okay, this is what the season is going to do, and these are the storylines that you're going to have to take through in your individual episodes. If you need help, we'll be there to help you. But we really are looking forward